All right, on 26, you have to determine whether this form represents a valid argument. And this one has three premises. You have R, you have if Q then negate R, and negate R and P. And then remember the line, let's make this smaller. This line right here is your therefore, and therefore P. Now you're going to have to make a truth table because the only arguments that there's 4 valid and 2 invalid on your sheet, but they only involve P's and Q's. This one has P, Q, and R. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is rewrite this from being vertical to being horizontal. So, okay. So the first thing you have is the R. Let me change that back to a large one. There we go. And then, so here's R. Then your next premise is the if Q then negate R. And then you have, come on, the third premise, which is the negation of R and P. Now, these are my 3 premises, and you have to connect premises with an and. So I'm going to put these in parentheses just so you can see there's the 3 premises, and in between them should be ands. The line that separates your 3 premises from your conclusion is always an if then. And then of course this thing ends with the P. So that's how you're going to translate it from left to right. Now, I have to do a truth table, so I'm going to scroll up here. Wish I could copy and paste this. To do a truth table, we are going to need the P and the Q and the R. And on a previous example, I went through that whole thing with you all. So just remember that P would be 4 T's and 4 F's. And then Q is 2 T's, 2 F's, 2 T's, 2 F's. And then it's T, TR. Where the hell did R come from? T, F, T, F, T, F, T, F. Okay, so this is like a given information here that we're supposed to remember. And then when I translated it, I remember it was an R and then an and now I can't remember. So let me scroll back up and see. If Q, then negation of R. And then another and. Another and. Okay, and then it was negation of R and P. Negation of R and P. And that takes care of the premises. And then the if then, and then it's just a P, right? Yes, okay. All right, so here we go. Didn't leave much room for my numbers. Oh well. And then before I start filling anything in, I'm going to draw my columns. So R gets a column by itself, then the and, then the Q, the if then, the negation of R, the and, the negation of R, the and, this P, the if then, and the P. Hope that's all in there. Hope it's all on the screen. It is. Okay. And then I'm going to go over and let's see. Do I have any P's? I have 2 P's. I have this column here. Let me draw my rows too. That always helps me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. All right. T, 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 F, 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 and F. And then copy this P, 4 T's, 4 F's. All right, do I have a Q? Yep, this is a Q here. It's 2 T's, 2 F's. 2 T's, 2 F's. And then do I have just an R? Here's an R. True, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay. This is all my busy work. Now I'm ready to actually do some calculations. And you have to do what's in the parentheses first. And I've got a negation of R here, and I also have a negation of R there. So, but I'll just, since I have to do, damn it, I lost my space, or lost my line. Okay, so since R is T, F, T, F, T, F, T, F, the negation would be FT, 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 and I'm going to do, I'll just do a different color. If I do this one second, it's FT, 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 FT. And then to do what's in the, to finish the set of parentheses, I would have to do this next. And it's going to be between, it's going to be an if Q and then a then negation of R. And the easiest way is to look for, the only time you get an F on this, on if thens, is if T, then F. That's an F. If T, then F, that's an F. My other if T's are if T, then T, if T, then T. So the rest of these are all trues. And then I'm going to come over to the other one and do, this will be number 4. And it's an and between the negation of R and the P. Okay, on an and, the only time you get a true is when they're both true. Those are both true, and those are both true. True and true is true. Otherwise, it's a false. So I'll just put all the falses in here. And that takes care of my parentheses. Okay, now I have to go back and do the first and. Do a dark green with this. So I'm going to do this and first, and it is going to be between the R. Let me go down to the bottom instead. Oh my gosh, come on, April. There we go. To get this one here, it's going to be between the column R here and the last thing I did in these parentheses, which is the pink. And it's an and. So I'm looking for T and T is T. Here's a true and true is true. True and true is true. True and false, false and true, false and true, true and false, false and true, false and true. The rest are all falses. Now, to do the next and, which is right here, to get this one, I'm going to have to take the result of what I just did and compare that, doing an and, with the last thing I did in the parentheses, which was this purple. So I have to focus on this green and this purple columns. And I have to do an and in between. So again, the only time you get a true is if you have an if true and a then true. I've got a false and false, false and true, true and false, false and true, false and false, false and false, true and false, false and false. They are all falses. Okay, which brings me to the last column, and of course the last column will be your final result of this truth table. It is an if-then, and to get it, you will have to, I'm going to do a gray color. To get this one here, it's this if-then. The last thing we did to the left of that arrow is the orange. So it'll be if orange and then this black column over here. But remember, on an if then, the only time you get a false is when it's if true, then false. Every one of these is an if false. So if false, then true is true, and if false, then false is true. So all of these are trues, which makes this a tautology, and that makes this whole thing valid. That was so much fun. It took me 11 minutes to do it. And that is number, what number was this? I can't remember. 26. There we go. 26. Okay, get off my screen. All right.